Right then, here we go. So thank you very much for your excellent questions. I had a good laugh reading them and I spent a while thinking of the answers. What I'll do is I'll just read them all the way through. I've got the list here, you can see. I'll just read the question. You'll know if it's your question and then, get it answered. All right, so the first question then, are you from Surrey? No, I'm not from Surrey. One mate thinks you're northern because of the cynicism, but my English mate thinks you're from Surrey. If not, where in Britain are you from? Right, well, I'm not northern. I'm not from Surrey. I did live in Sheffield for 8 years, though, which is sort of in the north of England. So that may be where I get a bit of my cynicism from. I was actually born in a place called Watford, which is just on the edge of North London. And then I grew up just outside of North London in Hertfordshire, which is the countryside, as you can imagine, a sort of small market town with all that entails. Really nice area, but a bit bleak in the 90s. Which bike, clothing, wheel related brand do you own? Are you asking me which company I own? If that is your question, I don't own any cycling companies because there's no money in it. The only people who make money from cycling are the online retailers like Wiggle and the big four manufacturers who've got that area sewn up. So no, I don't. If you're asking me which brands I own myself personally, which items from brands, loads. Cannondale, Power 2 Max, Specialized, Shimano, etc. Loads. Rafa. Dream bike. Well, that changes all the time, doesn't it? But something that is extremely light, extremely strong, doesn't break, and that I design myself. Right? So I'm waiting for the 3D graphene atomic level printers to come out so I can print my own bike. Who is your favourite pro rider? I don't really have any favourite pro riders. When I first started watching professional racing, I always seemed to sort of like the guys who I didn't know who they were. It just seemed like that was more cool. Like just seeing this mysterious guy who just had loads and loads of power just racing around, and I didn't know anything about him, and that just seemed more mysterious and cool to me than knowing everything about somebody that I'm watching on the screen. So I don't really have a favourite one. I like it when someone new comes along and I don't know who it is. Seeing those kind of people that I don't know, that inspires me more. Favourite race? Well, I suppose Tour de France, really, because that's the one where they go the most mental, isn't it? I like the physical environment, the geographical environment of France as well. How many comms do you have? I got loads. Absolutely loads. I smash them. Although, having said that, it's not exactly that hard to get a com in Japan, right? I don't think I'd have quite as many if I lived somewhere like the middle of Spain or France or something like that. But yeah, I've got loads. And I've got them on the flat, downhill and going up as well, climbs. I'm an all-rounder. There's a place where I ride where there's me and a couple of guys, a couple of hard men. We take it in turns to have the com of these certain segments. And there's one which is like fucking the hardest course. It's this winding 6 kilometre. It's flat, but it sort of rises up in the middle. There's no wind advantage anywhere. You don't get a tailwind for the whole thing. But yeah, 6 kilometres that is. And I've got the com at the moment in both directions. And it's a 56 kilometre per hour com or something like that. So no one's taking that apart from this one guy who me and him go sort of head to head. I know who he is as well. He's all right. If you could travel at the speed of light, would your headlights work? If you could get yourself to the speed of light, then, all physics and reality as we know it would just dissolve, which would include headlights and the ideas of things working and not working. So, no. But, the idea of work itself just wouldn't exist anymore. So I hope that answers your question. What's your favourite movie of all time? I don't have a favourite. I'm a bit schizophrenic with my taste in art in general. Films, movies. I like extremely deep, heavy, moving, dark dramas. And I also like things like Pauly Shore films and Scrooged with Bill Murray. I like kind of independent films that look like they've been made by somebody rather than a marketing production team that's designing it for the absolute base common denominator of fuckwit who doesn't understand art and doesn't deserve art in their life. But they form the majority of the people in the world, so most of the blockbusters are marketed to those cunts, aren't they? But yeah, I like things like independent films. I also like stuff like Hammer horror. I don't like it because, it's sort of cheesy and stuff. I like it because when you watch it, it feels like you're watching something that someone's put a lot of love into it and they had a vision. What's your favourite album of all time? Right, music, that's an even deeper subject, isn't it? I don't have a favourite album. Music for me, there's this feeling that I get sometimes from music, which, a variety of different artists have given me over the years. And whenever I feel that, whenever Pandora's box is open, whenever that alternative reality is accessed through sound, through art and through music, that then is good to me. But there's no sort of one album that does that. There's not even really one song that does that. It's when the artist manages to touch into that, to access it for a moment, a split second, that really, you know, it gets there. And there are some artists that are more able to do this than others and do it more often than others. But there's no one artist who actually does it every track. I mean, that's impossible to name some. Ortega do this sometimes. Aphex Twin does this sometimes. Smashing Pumpkins do it sometimes for me. Sometimes. Oh yeah, Sisters of Mercy as well. Sisters of Mercy for me, just, you know, take me somewhere else. Lebanon, Hanover, and William Maberly, like all that sort of stuff is amazing as well. It's an endless topic, isn't it? What do you think about the Wiggins Sky scandal? Obviously they're doping. Obviously they're just not doing EPO stuff. They've just found a different way to do it. Who else in pro cycling do you think is doping? All of them. Everyone. All of them. Without a doubt. The reason I think that's true is because I'm not the strongest cyclist in the world by a long way, but I'm good and I'm fit, and I've tried to do things like ride 4 days in a row as hard as I fucking could, with climbing and, you know, pushing myself to the absolute max. 4 days and I'm just wrecked. I can't do it, right? So for these guys, I don't care who they are, if they're doing 23 days in a row like that, and then they're doing multi-stage races throughout the year, there's no fucking way they're doing that without gear. There's no way, right? And the fact that they all keep getting caught anyway shows they are on it, right? So they're all on it. Of course they are. I think they should just get on with it and just admit it and then just move on, you know? Fuck it. It's all right. I don't care. If I was them, I would do it. Definitely. What do you smell like? At the moment, all right, because I've had a shower after my riding. What cologne does a mysterious creature like you wear? I like Bulgari Black. That's what I wear. I used to like CK1 when I was younger. I like the idea of it sort of being for men and women. That seemed a bit sort of, you know, cosmopolitan to me and excited me. But yeah, Bulgari Black. What cycling related YouTube channels do you watch regularly, if any? I don't really watch any. Sometimes I watch the GCN show to annoy myself in the same way that people watch sort of cringe videos on YouTube. Sort of, oh, you annoy yourself for watching it. Plus, I get ideas for new things to slag off and lay into on my channel. But I don't really watch any cycling related YouTube channels. My YouTube watching is more like live videos of cryptocurrency management firms announcing their latest plans and car polishing how-to videos and all that kind of shit. Oh yeah, Warhammer 40,000 lore videos. I don't want to sit there watching cycling videos all day long. Do I use a power meter? Yep, absolutely. Getting a power meter is one of the best things I've ever done. I've been on it for nearly a year, right? And actually, I've got a video planned. When it comes to the 1 year mark, I'm going to make a video giving a full review of the year and everything that I have done with it and what I've achieved with it and what I went through and all the good points and, you know, how all the things I've learned and all that kind of shit. I was going to make a mega 1 year power meter video. I realised that I'm sort of relatively late adopter of power meters. I know it's boring that everyone who gets a power meter goes on about how good they are, but yeah, they are. What do I recommend? What power meter do I recommend? Well, I've only ever used one power meter, and by principle I never recommend things that I haven't used, so I can only recommend the one that I've used, and the one I use is a Power 2 Max. I've made a video on it already. It is fucking excellent. I can't fault it, really. So if you are in the market for a power meter and the Power 2 Max looks like it would work with your equipment, get it, because it is bloody brilliant. Cycling computer, Garmin 810. Yeah, Garmin are fucking shit. Garmin are shit. It's like they're sort of programmed in an alternative reality where things are slightly shitter than they should be. I'm going to do a review on the Garmin 810 at some point. I'm going to get really annoyed in that one. I'm going to get really annoyed. If you could spend a few weeks somewhere on an all expenses paid vacation, where would you go? On Earth, chilled out, Spanish island probably. Do you have an indoor trainer? Yeah, I do, but I hardly ever use it. The only time I use it is when I'm trying to fix something on my bike that needs me to sort of pedal. What do you think of them? Is there one that you recommend? Right, the one I've got is an Elite trainer. It's really old. I got it before Strava really got big, before, you know, tech got big. So no, I don't recommend the one I've got because it's old and shit. What do I think of them? If I lived somewhere where it was raining all the time, I could see how they would be all right, but I can't personally see how you can really use one to get from being unfit to super fit. The only way that I think they're good is, say, for example, you are in the middle of a serious training program involving riding outside, yeah? And then for some reason, something happens, like, you've got to go to work, or you've got some sort of time restraint, or the weather's fucked up or something, then I can see how indoor training would be good, because then you can maintain your fitness, until you can get back outside. But there's no way that you can put yourself through the same amount of training on an indoor trainer as you can outside. There's just no way. Someone is obviously going to say I'm wrong, but from my experiences, no. Also, right, I found you can injure yourself quite easily on an indoor trainer. I fucked my knee up a bit once, because like the way you ride on it, like the bike is held in position. You don't swing the bike from left to right when you're riding, and there's no sort of fluidity of motion, and there's not, your body's not sort of, it's almost like your body's being held in one position. You and your bike are not sort of working as a sort of fluid entity. Like your bike's locked and you're just sat on top of it spinning away. So like I found that I got injured. I think rollers would be better, but then, again, just go outside, man. Just go outside. I'm in the market for my first road bike with a budget of around $5,000. I think I'll get a bike fit to help decide what type of geometry would work best for me. But do you have any tips on how to proceed from there? Right, look, don't get a bike fit first. Yeah, that's all that. I reckon all that's bollocks. Get a bike first and then get it fitted to you. Don't get a bike fit first. Man. Because a lot of people like to think that they're somehow unique. And like you get a lot of people sort of commenting like, oh, my torso is longer than usual, or I got my legs are a bit. It's this special snowflake thing, isn't it? All you do is you go to a bike shop and you stand over a bike, yeah, and you make sure there's a good few inches between and I'm assuming you're a man, between your nuts and the top tube. And then you figure out what sort of frame size you need from there, okay, by standing over a load of different ones. Take a mate along who knows what he's on about, and just then figure out what sort of size you need, right? For me, I know that a 52 centimetre Cannondale is about right for me. And then I can compare that to other bike manufacturers. So 52 centimetre Specialized is good. 51 centimetre, 51 and up, whatever, Giant. It's all around that sort of area. So then you know what one you're going to get. And then just buy a complete bike and then start tweaking it afterwards. All this sort of bike fit stuff, right? What do you actually physically change on the bike? You can change crank length. You can change your seat height and your seat position. And you can change your stem length and your bar width. That's it, yeah? The seat position, the height of the seat and the fore and aft of the seat, you can do that for free. Bar width, generally, if you get the right frame size, generally speaking, the bars are going to be about right. Stem length is one that, I've gone on about this quite a bit before, but stem length is one that you can change by just buying a new stem, and that will need to get changed. And crank length, you don't have many options really. I mean, it's like 170, 172.5 or 175, right? And generally, if you get the right frame size or the frame that's in the right area for you, your crank's going to be about right. Don't worry all about this bike fit shit at first. Once you're a bit further down the road, then you can start with all that crap, yeah? But don't worry about it at the moment, yeah? Especially if it's your first road bike, you're not going to be fit. You're not going to be fit. You just need to get a bike, get out riding it for a bit, and then start tweaking it, right? Don't worry about, all this stuff at first. So let's move on then. Carbon, steel, aluminium or titanium. Don't get titanium, don't get steel, get aluminium or carbon. That's what the big manufacturers are selling. And then your next question is, buy something from a big manufacturer like Specialized, Trek, Cannondale, Giant, BMC? Yes, absolutely. Or consider semi-custom. No, fuck all that, right? What you need to do, if it's your first road bike, you need to get something from, like you say, Specialized, Trek, Cannondale, Giant, BMC. Fuck BMC off. Specialized, Trek, Cannondale, Giant. One of them. Definitely one of them. If you're in America, I'm assuming you're in America, go for an American brand, because then you'll be able to take it back to any dealer in America and get some help, which is very important if it's your first road bike as well, right? Because you won't be an expert on getting it and fixing it yourself, or you might be, but I'm assuming you might not be. So Specialized, Trek or Cannondale, there you go. All right, let's have a look at some bikes then for you. I've taken the liberty of looking through a few for you. So you got $5,000, right? That is a fucking load of money for a first bike. Yeah, given that it's your first bike and you said you're not going to be doing any racing, something like the Cannondale Synapse Carbon Disc Ultra, that would be good. That's $2,000. That's $3,000, right? So it's $2,000 under budget. There's the Di2 one for $4,500. So that's still within your range. Looking at Specialized, I had a look through Specialized. There's the Roubaix Expert. That looks all right. Oh yeah, I'm assuming the $5,000 is just for the bike. You'll have to buy a helmet and all that kind of shit as well. Oh, that's got this fucking suspension thing now. Forget that. Let's have a look at Giant then. This looks all right. Right, the TCR Advanced 1 disc. I reckon this Giant is the best option for you because it's got Shimano gears and discs. You asked the question, do you get a better frame with lesser components or vice versa? Look, you're spending $5,000 on a bike. It's going to be fucking excellent, whatever you get. There's no such thing as lesser components for a beginner at the moment. For $5,000, let's be realistic. That's amazing. Don't worry about that, okay? Electronic shifting or disc brakes. If you can get DI2, get it. Disc brakes. Right, this is the biggest question, really. I think now, yes, get disc, because the standards of disc have kind of settled down now. A couple of years ago, we had to sort of think about, do we get direct mount or flat mount discs? And, no one really knew what the standards were, but all that's kind of settled down, especially now that Shimano have brought out their Dura Ace disc range. That's set the standard, really. So I think, yeah, you should get a disc bike. If you get a disc frame now that conforms to these standards, you can upgrade it in the future. Like I say, with that in mind, I think one of these Giants would be good. Giant TCR disc. The other thing is get a power meter at the very beginning. So why do I say a beginner should get a power meter? Well, when you first start riding a road bike, it's hard. And especially if you go on a group ride, you'll be out your depth very, very quickly. And also when you're not that fit, there's this thing that happens when you go out riding and you feel fantastic for the first half an hour. Then suddenly you can get really fucking tired and just bonk and just die. And then that is really annoying and you feel like shit and you don't want to continue. If you get a power meter when you're a beginner, you can pace yourself by, understanding how many watts you need to be keeping to, which means that actually you can go on more group rides straight away. Your fitness will increase very, very quickly. You won't get these times when you feel like you're going to, just pass out and stuff. It will maintain your motivation to ride, and it will allow you to do things like ride up a mountain within a couple of months of starting to ride, rather than just sort of struggle through and not understand where you are, not understand your fitness level and all that kind of thing. I know you say you're not going to race, that's cool, but I really do think that getting a power meter straight away will allow you to really enjoy the bike and really enjoy cycling to its absolute maximum very, very quickly. Like I say, you can go on group rides and, you're not going to get dropped. You're not going to slow anyone down. So with that in mind, the $5,000 that you have planned should be spent on the bike and a power meter together as the first thing you buy. Which power meter to buy? Just get a left-hand crank one, which gives you 3 main options, which is Stages, 4iii, I think that's how you say it, and Pioneer. Now, immediately, I'm going to tell you, don't get a Stages. They're shit, right? Everyone who has a Stages, their Stages fucks up. But there's this sort of vibe that's been created where people think that that's okay. Oh, Stages are okay because the customer service is really good. They're like saying, oh, this product is good because the customer service is good when it inevitably breaks. Well, how about you make a product that doesn't fucking break, that you don't need good customer service for, and just make a decent, strong product in the first place, which Stages haven't done. So I'm saying you don't get a Stages, all right? Get a 4iii or a Pioneer. Now, both of these are available in the US. 4iii is a Canadian company, I believe. I reckon you're looking at about $600, $500 or $600 for the power meter, the left-hand crank one. You want to get one of those disc bikes with Shimano gears, because these left-hand power meters generally come on Shimano cranks most commonly. And also, Shimano gears shift the best and they give you the least problems, especially as a beginner. Then spend $600 on the power meter and then you're good to go. What be the future of Bitcoin? Well, at the moment, it's all going a bit crazy, isn't it? There's loads of different kinds of cryptocurrencies that have come in, riding on the Bitcoin coattails. More people moving over to non-fiat currencies, which is a good thing. Anything that, pulls the power away from the centralized governments is good, because they are generally twats and cause more problems than they solve, and they're all self-serving. I think Dash will rise up to be close to Bitcoin, and they'll be the big two. I think Amanda B. Johnson is partially responsible for that with her YouTube videos. Then I think that a lot more shops and places will start accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, probably like, XMR, Bitcoin or Dash, really. And then I think that'll rise up for a while. And then the governments will start shitting themselves, the banks will start shitting themselves, and then the banks will try and the banks and the governments will collude and try and regulate it by doing things like shutting down exchanges and, making new laws about the blockchain and all that kind of crap. And then I don't know what will happen then. There'll be some, currency war. Long term, I don't know. Honestly. The fact that Bitcoin even exists makes me very happy. What chain lube? Finish line, dry, red. You can get it everywhere. No, I don't mean it goes everywhere. I mean, you can buy it everywhere and it just works. How many bikes do you currently own and which one do you ride most often? 2 at the moment. I've got a Cannondale Evo, Super 6 Evo, Di2, which is the only bike I ride, and I've got a BMX, which I don't ride. That's a terrible one, barcode. What's your nutrition like, considering your level of muscle definition and hard riding? Thanks, mate. That's a work in progress. When I was younger, I suffered extreme migraines. I couldn't go to school. I was constantly off. My mum had to come and get me from school every week, a few times a week. It was crippling. It was literally crippling. I consider it to be genuinely a disability. It was hell. Awful, especially as a young boy, not knowing what it was, it was fucking terrible. Trying to deal with that, trying to eliminate things from my diet and stuff, and that did help a bit. So that was my first sort of messing around with nutrition and stuff. Then I got into weight training and all that kind of thing when I was in my early 20s. So that was all like glugging protein and stuff. None of that made me feel very good, to be honest. And it was only since I cut out milk, a lot of animal products, and, started banging more fruit, vegetables, water, rice, pasta, that kind of thing, that I started feeling decent. Over the last 3 years, I've really fine-tuned it and researched it a lot more. Also, there's been a lot more information available as well. So my nutrition at the moment is I eat a lot of pasta and vegetables and like tins of tomatoes in the morning. Then I'll have some loads and loads of sugary rice cakes and stuff when I'm riding to keep my sugar levels just really high. When I get home, I have a load of green leaf salads, that kind of thing, more pasta, that kind of thing. I don't ever think about like the levels of stuff I eat. I don't really ever sort of count calories. I never think about, I've had this much protein or this much carbs. I never do that. I have certain foods that I eat, and then some foods that I don't eat, and then I just eat as much as I want of that, and that seems to work. It's fairly unscientific, right? Oh, supplements. This is just sort of standard, buy them anywhere, vitamin supplements. I have B12, iron, magnesium and calcium together. Those 3, that's it. Nothing hardcore at all. If you could kill one person from your last 10 years of human contact, who would it be? And what would the method of execution be? Fucking hell, that is a hard question, mate. Because I have met some cunts. Who would it be? But I have to narrow it down to an area first, wouldn't I? I find it generally, if I meet someone and they're an absolute twat, 99% of the time that's because they're just a product of their environment. Like, for example, if some chain-smoking truck driver drives past me too fast in his truck, he's just a prick because all his mates do that, and that's just the world that he's in. I don't want to kill him. I wish that he'd have an accident and die by his own hand, but I don't want to kill him because he's just a product of his environment. There's nothing innately evil about him. He's just a fucking loser. His life's already fucked anyway, right? That kind of person, I wouldn't want to kill him, but I would like them to not exist. The worst people I've met have been through trading, right? Fucking hell. Fucking right. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here because I don't want to incriminate myself, and I'm not even sure of the legal status of what I was doing. But there have been some times when I've been in a group of traders trading something, and we've all agreed to do it. And the reason we've agreed to do it is for the genuine good of something, i.e. trying to raise funding for some sort of medical research. And we've all agreed to do something which would, say, fast track something to happen. We've all agreed to do it, and then someone in that group has then turned round and then gone, I'm not sure if you understand this term, but they've shorted our decision as a group just to profit themselves, which has completely jeopardized what we were planning, meaning that funding for things like medicine for dying children, and I'm not joking, has been just stopped. And then we've had to go back to the parents and say, that thing we were trying to do to get some money for your kid who, we can't do it now because one of our group has just fucking backstabbed us just to make himself $20,000 or something. Those kind of people I would like to actually kill because they're fucking, that is awful, right? And they are not products of their environment. That is they're psychopaths. What is the best music to listen to when summoning the ravens from the Black Tower? Well, the ravens themselves make the music, don't they? Children of the night, like Dracula says. Why is there a light in the fridge but not the freezer? Because the refrigerator manufacturers want you to enjoy the beauty of the moonlight glistening off of the ice. There's nothing like it. What's the best book you've ever read? I don't read books, mate. I am the book. But really, the best book I've ever read, probably the book that affected me the most, was A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. The ending of that physically hurt me. If any of you have read it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, that is fucking, it rips you in half. We're starting to see recurring themes in your neo-noir films. What influences this work and where does it come from? It comes from inside me. It's like this thing about the music I was saying. I'm trying to access this world that I know exists, and I can feel it, and I get access to it sometimes through music and through art. I want to also give access to this, so that's what I'm trying to do. How many shouty bike forum Asperger's personality disorders does it say to screw in a light bulb? That is fucking good. One. It takes one of them to screw it in. Then it takes 9,000 of them to debate about the material that the thread is made of on the light bulb, and about how, you know, their light bulb uses a slightly better filament than the other light bulb, even though they all come from the same Chinese factory. Tell us about your first love. My first love, her name was Pepper, and she was my cat when I was younger. We were born at about the same time. We grew up together. She used to sleep on my bed every night. She used to sleep on my head sometimes. And then at 6 o'clock every morning, she would scratch my face to wake me up. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I know what you're all thinking. Yeah, no, I didn't shag it. Yeah, no, I did not shag it. And that dress, I made it by using my mum's sewing machine in secret over one summer holiday when I was 14. That was to keep it warm, all right? So don't start with all that shit, yeah?